Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick update for the channel. Given that we are in the middle of Ancients August and I just wrapped up the playthrough of Antony and Cleopatra, which I hope you enjoyed. I was going back and watching that video. I made an error. There was some weird editing glitch where a title came up that didn't say anything. Kind of embarrassing. I definitely have more of a professional expectation of my content than to have like random mistakes like that. But in general, that playthrough was a lot of fun, and that game was really good. And that, I guess, begs the question, why am I sitting here showing you 2 copies of MMP Civil War games? Well, that's related to what's happening on the channel in the near term, and that is I am unable, I want to continue doing Ancients August. I have a bunch of other Ancients games that I want to play for the channel. Unfortunately, I'm going on vacation for about 10 days until the end of the month, and so obviously I won't be able to do any content in that time. So I apologize for that, and instead, what you're going to see over the next couple weeks while I'm gone and building in some buffer so I can get back into it when I get back, is a full playthrough of the Bull Run campaign scenario from Stonewall Jackson's Way 2, which I have just wrapped up playing. That's going to be 4 videos, and I'm going to roll them out 2 a week for the next couple of weeks. And so while it is not Ancients, I hope that you will enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed playing Great Battles of the American Civil War. And I do apologize for not being able to follow through on the Ancients August in the actual month of August. Now, the good news is that I am going to, when I come back, like I said, continue that into September. And, you know, we may go through the end of September with Ancients games because I still got some plans on stuff that I want to do and cover in that period. And so just bear with me, and, you know, hopefully you'll enjoy the content in the meantime. On that topic, speaking of American Civil War and great campaigns of the American Civil War, I did want to show off some of the new additions to my house. I know I did a Roads to Gettysburg 2 unboxing kind of style video not long ago, but I also managed to pick up a couple of other great campaigns of the American Civil War games. I've had so much fun playing it. Spoilers about my review of Stonewall Jackson's Way 2. I've had so much fun playing it that I made it a mission to track down some of the other entries in the series. I got Hood Strikes North, which is a couple weeks ago. This is the newest entry in the series. This is unpunched, brand new. I basically opened it and took a look inside, but it's a 1-map Tennessee campaign of 1864, kind of near the end of the war. Looks really good. You know, people have been talking about what's the best game in the series for new players. Probably this one. A, it's widely available. B, it's only 1 map, so it doesn't take a huge footprint. And it's a good way it comes with the newest system rules, so it's probably a really good way to learn the series, probably not too overwhelming. There's a lot of scenarios in this box, despite it only being a single campaign, or campaign geographic area. So this is a really good one to start with. If you've been looking to get into great campaigns of the American Civil War, Hood Strikes North, you can't go wrong with that. I think it's, you know, the perfect game for that, probably, for this system. And like I said, I have been enjoying it a ton. I want to be playing a lot of this system as much as possible. So you're going to see a lot of GCACW content on the channel in the next, you know, indefinite period in the future when I'm not doing other things. So very happy to own this. Can't wait to play it. This is probably one that I'll teach my wargaming friends how to play the system with. Should be a good exploration. There's probably some good scenarios in here to learn it, and so I'm excited about that. The other one I have here is Battle Above the Clouds, which if you know anything about the series, you know is sort of the first modern, at least visually, interpretation of the system. The system's been around since the 90s, obviously, but Battle Above the Clouds is sort of the first one that's come in this style of box, this MMP, you know, font, the sort of graphic design that the series is known for now. It is also extremely out of print and really hard to get. It goes for pretty high prices, and this again is about, let's see, this is the Battle Above the Clouds, is the 1863 campaign in Tennessee, it looks like, in Georgia. So probably a good companion volume to Atlanta Is Ours. But again, like I said, very, very hard to get a hold of. I happened to luck out. I managed to snag this in a trade on Board Game Geek with someone who owned it, who was willing to part with it for another game. And so I thank you very much, sir, for executing a great trade on Board Game Geek. This is the last one I was looking to add to the collection. Now I own all of the modern GCACW titles. I am extremely happy about that, extremely ecstatic that I'll get a chance to play all of them at some point in my life, hopefully before I die. And super thrilled to own this. And in fact, he also threw in this Chessex counter tray where the game was partially punched. I think it had been played a couple times, but it's basically brand new. The box is in great shape. I think this game came out in 2008 or 2009. I printed off the errata from that time period. This errata is from 2009, so we're talking about 12 years ago. You can see that he didn't finish punching it. Not all of it's punched, but basically in perfect shape. It's got both maps in here, and it is that modern GCACW style. Obviously, it has some of the older like components in terms of the game rules, but that's okay. Hood Strikes North has the newest one, and they're perfectly compatible. And then we've got this really nice scenario booklet, again, just packed chock full of content here. Love this cover on this particular book, really cool. How many scenarios we got in here? Looks like 7 scenarios. So we've got 6. We've got 5 or 6 regular scenarios plus a historical version of scenario 6, and then scenario 7, which I think might be the campaign. But again, just a ton of content in here. Obviously 2 maps, 2 counter sheets, and impeccable condition. So extremely happy that I was able to get this in a trade. Extremely lucky as well. I wish I could tell you where, if you're looking for Battle Above the Clouds, where you could find a copy without having to pay out the nose. Hopefully MMP reprints this at some point in the future, since this system does seem to be getting more and more popular. But yes, now my collection of great campaigns of the American Civil War is complete. I do own Roads to Gettysburg 2, Hood Strikes North, Battle Above the Clouds, Stonewall Jackson's Way, and Atlanta is Ours. Got most of those for really good prices. Very happy. Great system. I think everyone should play it. It's just a superb mechanically and designed stuff on mid-19th century. And that segues quite nicely into the next game that I got recently. Again, speaking of trades, speaking of Hollenspiel, this game really caught my attention, and this cover is fantastic. I don't know if you can tell here, but basically you've got this one soldier here in color surrounded by them climbing the walls of this fort. This is the Siege of Ismail from Ilya Kudryashov, who has done, well, he did the map art in Antony and Cleopatra. He's done map art for some other games I think I've shown on the channel. And he designed and did the visuals on this game, which is Hollenspiel game number 42, so it came out a couple of years ago. And it's really cool. It's a really cool game about a subject I don't know really anything about. But essentially, this was and it won some awards on Board Game Geek as well. Yeah, it was a print and play game, I think, originally. So this is a siege game about this siege in 1790, in the winter of 1790, where the Russian army besieged this Ottoman fortress I forget exactly where this was, somewhere probably over in Central Asia. But what's really cool about it, and I'll open this and show you the map, is that it's basically an open setup siege, and basically you've got the Ottoman player here. Here's some of the counter graphics, and you've got what looks to that must be the Ottomans. These must be the Russians. Let's see. Nope, these are the Ottomans. They are red, it looks like, and the Russians are green. That makes way more sense for the period. Yeah, these are the Russians. Okay, and then some info markers, disrupted, whatnot, some dice. This is, the lining's kind of coming off on the inside. I should probably glue that down. But yeah, it looks like a really cool game, and the map is really beautiful. Again, this is kind of obviously, it looks very similar to the map style that you saw in Antony and Cleopatra, same kind of color palette choices. But you can see here's the fort. The Ottomans are going to be trapped inside, and the Russians are going to be trying to take it. I really love siege games when they're done well. And this one, I mean, I basically got it in a trade on Board Game Geek for something that, it was kind of random, actually. I got a message from someone I don't know who saw a game that an old MMP game that I had, Warriors of Japan, that I didn't really want anymore. And this is on my wish list, and he just sent me a trade request out of the blue, said, hey, I'll trade this to you for Warriors of Japan. And I said, sure, I'm into it. And so it worked out. And so the moral of this video so far is that you can, if you are on the lookout and make some friends online, you can get some really not only good deals, but also get games that you want to add to your library on BGG via the trade functionality. A lot more common than I would have thought. And so I'm very happy to own this, and very excited to play this at some point, probably on the channel as well. So Hollenspiel, I've yet to not enjoy a Hollenspiel game in some fashion. So excited to own that. Speaking of siege games, the other game that I picked up recently, and I finally did it after watching a bunch of videos on it, is Toulon 1793 from Legion, Napoleon's First Great Victory. There have been a lot of people who have done unboxings and videos and overviews and playthroughs of this game, so I won't go into it too much here, but essentially this is about the Siege of Toulon. Much has been made of the game's map. I can confirm it is as beautiful as it looks. From what I understand, it's a bit fiddly, the game. But it's a really interesting situation. I really love the aesthetic. I love the counter design, and Legion has never let me down. The components are great. I've already looked in here. So I'm not going to probably do this on the channel. There's a sort of like bidding initiative mechanic in here, and there's a fog of war aspect. It doesn't really make it necessarily great for soloing. But again, this sort of late 18th century period is a period that I really enjoy. And, you know, in terms of like siege games in that era, you've basically got these two. There might be a couple others that I'm unaware of, but these are sort of the two in recent memory that have come out that sort of interested me on topics that are a little bit less covered. And yeah, so I'm probably going to bring this to a convention. I am going to a convention in Vancouver as it stands right now, well, if it still happens in November, and I probably will bring this up there to try and find an opponent to play it. But I'm excited to get back into convention face-to-face gaming. Mask-to-mask gaming, as it might be. And so, obviously, when I go and do that, I'll try and document and chronicle some of the stuff we play, and I hope this is one of them. But very happy to own this and add to my Legion collection. Like I said, they've never let me down. On top of that, as part of the trade that Siege of Ismail came with, I wound up with, he threw in addition to trading and doing a random trade note, he actually threw in another game for free that I was not expecting. And again, thank you very much, sir, for doing that. It's very nice of you. This is a cold and resolute fight in the battle for Narvik, World War II. This is obviously the German takeover of Norway in 1940. This is a game from Paul Rohrbaugh, who you may recognize that name. He was the designer of A Thunder Upon the Land, which I did a couple of videos for, which I wasn't really a big fan of, but he is also the owner of High Flying Dice Games, which is a small kind of print-on-demand, desktop-published kind of war game company. They've got a lot of games, and some really interesting graphic design on some of their games as well. And so I guess either this is new, or I just wasn't familiar with it, but the guy did the Siege of Trade... The guy I did the trade with Siege of Ismail with just threw it in there as a freebie, which he was like, I was looking for a good home, hope it finds one through you. If you're not enjoy it, don't worry, feel free to get rid of it or trade it away. But little did he know that I've actually been to Narvik, Norway. In fact, I can show you a picture right here if you're interested in seeing what it looked like when I was there a couple of years ago. But I've been to I've been to Narvik, Norway, and I've been looking for games. When I came back from that trip, I was actually looking for games about the Battle of Narvik because I went to a bunch of the places where this occurred. And other than PQ-17's expansion, which is still on P500 at GMT, and one game out of a Spanish company that came out recently, there are not a lot of games on the Battle of Narvik. So he didn't know this, but this is actually a subject that I've been really interested in, and so I took this gratefully, both because I'm interested in the subject, but also because I've been wanting to check out High Flying Dice Games recently after seeing some of their Indian War stuff and the graphic design on those. So this comes printed on paper, basically. There's a bunch of player aids you can see here, kind of interestingly laid out. They're double-sided. There's a lot of player aids. I'm not sure exactly how complex this game is. It doesn't seem to be that complex, but like, there's a lot of player aids. There's like 7 pages of player aids here, and I'm not sure if that's just to make the game easier to play and reference, but there's a ton. Wish these were double-sided. I should say, wish they were double-sided. But there's a lot here. You can see the terrain effects chart, the terrain key. I'll show you the map, though. That's really the part that impressed me the most. The rule book, let's see, here's... let's see, okay, yeah, here's the rule book. Player aids over here. Here's the rule book. Again, just printed on regular paper, but the layout's quite nice. Black and white. Triple column, not my favorite format. I would have preferred double column, but I guess that would have been longer. I again would have appreciated text on the back, but it doesn't look too complicated. It's 8 pages, 9 pages? Yeah, 9 pages of rules, so it doesn't look too hard. Paul Rohrbaugh is a fan of using like a deck of poker cards to drive actions, and again, this game is no different. Here's an optional rule. Let me spread out the map so you can see that. The art on the map is actually really fantastic. It comes sort of like it comes in the same format like an old Hollandspiel game. So when Hollandspiel first started, they were doing their maps on 2 sheets, and so that's what you get here. And so these have to go together like this, like something like that. Somewhere in there. Basically, actually, let's see if I can get this right. I believe it overlaps, something like that. So you can see the area in and around Narvik, Norway, but if I get in closer, there's a lot of detail on this map. Really just awesome design. It almost looks like a satellite photo that like a hex grid was put over. So really, really pretty. And you put this under some plexi and you won't even know it's 2 sheets. But really excited to play this and give it a try. I've been wanting to give the company a try. Now, the one complaint I have so far is that it did come with mounted counters. So the guy who traded this to me did get the option. Usually their counters are not mounted at High Flying Dice. They're just paper and you have to mount them yourselves. But it did come with these mounted counters. Unfortunately, they all come on a single sheet of like chipboard that you then have to cut. So I had to use a rotary cutter to cut all of these individually, which was a huge pain in the ass, made a huge mess. I think I did a pretty good job. It looks like they mostly came out square. The only problem is that as I was cutting them, they weren't adhered to the board very well, and so some of these came delaminated, so I had to super glue down anyway. So it was a really big crafts project. And it's like, if you're going to offer mounted counters, like, maybe pre-cut them. I can't see a lot of people being thrilled with, wanting to have mounted counters for their game and then having to do like a huge, hour and a half, 2-hour project to cut them all out. But I did get them all cut out. Here are the Germans, the white. Here are the allies. You've got British in yellow. You've got Poles in purple under there. You've got French in blue. So looks like a really cool game. And I'll probably play it for the channel at some point. Really nice map art. And it's very nice of him to include. All right, one more. Let me show you that one. All right, last one, last new arrival. This is End of Empire. This is an older game, came out from Compass in like 2015 or so, which is a re-implementation of an even older version of this game. But it is, at its core, a operational 18th century game about warfare in North America, specifically King George's War in the 1740s, the French and Indian War / 7 Years' War in North America, and the American Revolution. All three sort of periods and conflicts that I am super interested in, right in my wheelhouse, and I have been looking for the longest time for an operational game, scoped game, on British North America, and French North America for that matter, forever. And so this game has been on my list for a long time, and I've just never picked it up. I know there was a healthy amount of errata when it came out. I know there's a new version of the rules that's been sort of updated by the designer. The designer, to his credit, has been very active in supporting this game and making sure that stuff gets updated to be more reflective of a better design. So I felt it seems like they've kind of reached the zenith of that process. So I felt like I would pick this up. I got it for a really great price on the Board Game Geek Marketplace. It was basically brand new. Came with the errata counters that Compass issued shortly after it launched, so I didn't have to go hunting for anything else. And I also had the issue of the magazine of Paper Wars that came with some bonus scenario counters. So basically, I've got everything that's ever been released for End of Empire in this box, including some of the downloadable scenarios that are on Constant World. But as you can see, really beautiful counters. These are the actual size, so they're nice and large. You've got every basically nationality that was fighting in North America at the time: the Spanish, the French, the Continentals, the British, the Native Americans. It looks like a really great time. Here's the map. It's 2 maps, and it covers everything from Nova Scotia and New Brunswick up here all the way down to Florida and Louisiana. So it's a really large area. I mean, here you can see in yellow, this is the colonies. This picture doesn't do it justice. The maps are actually quite nice. They looked a little kind of flat from the pictures I saw online, but actually there is a texture to all this green, all this forest. Most of North America at this point is forest, as you know. And I'm really excited to play this. I will be playing this on the channel at some point. I do need to learn it. It is a little involved from what I've seen, but I've heard nothing but good things from people who really enjoy it. And obviously the designer support was a compelling factor in picking it up. But there's small scenarios, there's large scenarios. I think more than half the box is just the American Revolution because there are so many units. But like King George's War is like pretty small, not a heavy number of units. Let me open it actually and I can show you. Hold on one second. So here's kind of what the map looks like. You can see there's like a texture to the forest. It's not just a flat green. None of the pictures of the map really do it justice, but you can see Lake Erie, Lake Huron. This is just kind of part of it folded up. You can see the time track based on what conflict you're playing, the turn track, I should say. And then here's some of the colonized spaces around Philadelphia and sort of the frontier near Carlisle, stuff like that. So it looks like a really cool game. Here are some of the counters. I basically punched the whole thing. It's all done. I actually organized it by scenario. So you've got, this is, let's see, what do we got here? If I can get it to focus. This looks like French and Indian War. Here are some of the Germans for the American Revolution. This is King George's War. So you've got the Spanish, some rules for them. And then this whole sheet, or tray, I should say, here is all American Revolution. You can just see there's total number of units. Each unit, I think, is a regiment, so we're talking like quite a number of forces here. You've got militia, you've got Native Americans down here, for example. You've got the French allies to the Continentals. All the blue is Continentals, all the red is British. Really excited to play this. Again, like I said, it's been on my list for a long time, and I finally got a hold of it, and I'm very thrilled about that. So anyways, that is all I'm going to talk about today. Really hope that you enjoyed this video, some of the new hauls that I've got, the new arrivals that I've got, and I am going on vacation, so I will probably be unresponsive for at least a week. Going to enjoy some paddling, getting outside, and in general, disconnecting from technology for a bit. Please enjoy the Stonewall Jackson's Way 2 Bull Run campaign videos. I've been playing that for off and on for almost a month now. Finally finished it up, documented it on film. You might see a couple other videos in there as well that I release that are just kind of random. But like I said, when I come back, we're going to continue Ancients August with some more Ancients games. So thanks for watching.